Hey there, welcome Midweek Live. So glad that you guys are joining Ange and I today.
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Yes, Angela, you might be going, I recognize her face from like a month ago or so. It's been now, I think.
Yeah.
You joined midweek with your husband. Alfred talked a little bit about FPU, Financial Peace University, and just the financial things and decisions you guys have made as a couple. But I have you here for completely different reasons today.
Yes.
We're not going to talk about finances today.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about preteens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last time we talked about Alfred's passion. Now we get to
go.
talk about mine.
Good answer. I love that. Well, before we do that, I just wanted to do a quick little fun trivia for those that do not know. Am I right that you are one of the longest staff members at NorthPointe? I mean, one of the longest, right?
Yeah.
How long
I would
has it been?
say besides Steve and Susan, it's me.
Oh my
And so,
gosh.
yeah, I've been on staff. January 1st will be 24
Oh my gosh. And it's
years.
January. And it's January.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You're about, in 1 year, you'll celebrate your silver anniversary with us.
That's so crazy. I'm not that old.
I know, right? Everyone's probably going, how in the world? Were you 10 when you said, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how long you've been here. But can you tell me a little bit about yourself? We've clearly gotten a chance to meet you and Alfred, but you are more than just a wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Wife and mom of 2 boys. I have a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. And yeah, I mean, I've been working here just pouring into preteens. But outside of work, like we enjoy traveling as a family, making memories. I love photography. I'm not too skilled at it, but I love it.
Yeah.
All things fashion, boy bands.
You do, yes, yes, that's definitely a
yes.
good trivia right there. You're a big New Kids on the Block
I am.
fan.
Yeah.
Yes, for all those 90s babies. That's like me, right? I guess we weren't babies when we were in the 90s. Those
Right.
are like high school years.
Yeah.
You've also worked for quite a few people. I mean, you've been here for almost 25 years, so 24 years. You've worked for several people.
Yes.
How many
I
people have you worked for?
Let's see. Let's count.
Let's count. Let's figure this out.
Steve,
Okay.
Ronnie, Kevin, Brent, Travis. Let's see. I know that there's a few
You said Shane,
others.
right? You
Yeah,
did say
Shane.
Shane.
I did work with Shane. So yeah,
A
probably
good
about
6?
6.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's actually not bad for 24 years if you think about it.
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think when I came on, you were Shane's assistant at that time. That's why I said Shane, because I
Yeah.
knew that one for sure.
Yeah.
But there's been some pretty amazing things that have happened. You've probably seen this church grow quite a bit
Oh yeah.
in your years
Definitely.
of being here. I'm
Yeah.
guessing we were just the one building. Am I right? Yeah.
Yep.
So
We were in the student ministry building.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've seen this whole thing become what it is now,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing.
It is.
When this is kind of random, when did you come to know the Lord? If you've been working here for 24 years, you've clearly grown up in the church.
Yeah, so I always knew about Jesus, but I didn't really know Jesus until junior high. I was actually at NorthPointe, or sorry, not NorthPointe. That's where we are. I was at Northwest Church.
Okay, yeah.
And we actually went on it was called a beach blast. And so we went over to Santa Cruz and did the boardwalk, and we stayed at a camp over there. And that's where I decided, you know what? It's time to make a decision
Wow.
for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So in junior high. So I mean, being a preteen director, you kind of have a pretty good idea of maybe the Did you struggle at all with religion? It sounds like you grew up knowing it. Did you ever struggle with any of that?
No, I don't really think so.
Okay.
Yeah, as young as I can remember, like I've always just loved the Lord, loved church. I used to sing in church. I volunteered like as soon as I was able to, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which is great because we're going to talk more about that kind of influence as we talk about Pit Crew, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
I have a feeling now that you said that, as you said that, I thought, oh, I bet you that's where a lot of this kind of stems from, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're going to get into that. What were your 5th and 6th grade years like?
Very, very different. And that's one of the things that I think characterizes preteens is change. And so my 5th grade year was really, really hard. I had probably the worst teacher.
Hmm.
And that really defines kind of your life. It's usually your friends,
Yes.
your family, and
Yes.
school. And
Absolutely.
so fifth grade was really hard. I remember the teacher actually kind of ridiculed me in front of the class.
Mhm.
And so from then on, it was kind of like, nope, you're not good in my
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
And then in sixth grade, I had an incredible teacher that really spoke into me
Hmm.
and just like showed me the potential
Hmm.
that he thought I had. And
Yeah.
so
So
that
you had
was
these
really
polar
cool.
opposite teachers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
God was really doing some work in you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
At this
sure.
at already such a young age.
Hmm.
Wow. Well, let's kind of talk a little bit about what makes your job so really vital. You and I were talking, and I'm sure many people know, we are blessed. Many churches really have oftentimes one pastor, maybe in charge of kids and youth. If you're like really lucky, you might end up in a church where you've got a kids pastor and a youth pastor.
Yeah.
But we are extremely blessed at NorthPointe to have really almost like every 2 years or so, just heavy focus on our kids. We've got a kids pastor, but we also have directors and ministers for elementary. Then we talk about specifically for fifth and sixth. That's the one you represent. And then we have Emma with junior high. We've got Colin with kids, high school student ministries.
Yeah.
And then Ben for our college and young adults. And I just really feel like it's a powerhouse team that we have, really helping to it feels like a relay team. You guys really pass the baton well.
Yeah.
As parents, watching your kids go through some of these ages, watching them go through elementary school and fifth and sixth grade, which you kind of feel like you're the king of the campus, right?
Right.
Fifth and sixth grade,
Yeah.
only to get knocked down for
Right.
junior high years.
Yeah.
You were talking about how hard those years are, right?
Yeah.
How just oftentimes many people just struggle. Many teens struggle. I know I had it. I just feel like those were like an island years, just
Yeah.
really didn't feel like I knew where I fit in, or all my friend groups changed. And, and then you jump into high school and again, you're at the bottom, you're at the
Yep.
bottom again, working your
Yep.
way up until
Yeah.
junior and senior years. And then, life just changes dramatically after that as well. So I love your role. I feel like you've just really fit it so well. You've done such a good job. And there's been some things that have been put in place. And again, we'll talk about that. But let's talk about Surge. Surge just happened.
Okay. Yeah.
Friday night.
Yeah. Surge is basically our outreach event. We do it monthly on the second Friday of the month.
Yeah.
And it's for our regulars, but it's also for their friends.
Yeah.
And so when our regulars sign up, it's always the next question is, who are you bringing?
I love it.
We really want them to bring their friends. And this past Surge was wild and crazy, and it was Christmas themed,
Yeah.
and we had shaving cream beards and Santa stuffed with balloons and kids running around. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun. But like the biggest win for me was that there were 10 brand new kids
Oh
to
my
North
gosh.
Point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so one of them actually came on Sunday for
That's
the
awesome.
first time. So it's just been awesome to see them like really respond to that challenge of like, hey, church is for you, but it's also for your friends. you know?
Right, yeah, because oftentimes Sunday church can feel a little more insider. It shouldn't,
Yeah.
but it does tend to feel that way. Everyone, even as adults, right? We walk in and we look for the people we know to say hi to,
Yeah.
and we sit in the same spots. And I imagine kids probably do a lot of the same things that
Yeah.
adults do
Yeah.
for the most
Especially
part.
as they're getting older, because
Yeah.
you have this awareness of like, oh, my world is changing.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit different. I don't know if I like that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all of that going on.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty awesome to have 10 brand new people who've really never experienced church. And really what Surge sounds like is a ton of fun. So
Yes.
hopefully what it really did was be able to give kids an opportunity to just see that church can be fun. I feel like oftentimes kids might feel like church is like stuffy.
right. Yeah. Boring. Honestly.
Boring.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in even a different style church, I'm sure,
Yeah.
than even you did, right? I feel like I grew up in a church that isn't necessarily stuffy. I feel like I had more fun in things like we call it Summer Extreme Days. Now we used to call
Yeah.
it VBS, right?
Right.
Vacation Bible School. And those were the like times we got to be really free and fun, right?
Right.
But like, yeah,
Yeah.
oftentimes Sunday was like, yeah, you should be wearing your like nice clothes
church
and your church
best.
clothes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it has changed quite a bit from that.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
you know, you and I are the parents of the kids that are now coming. So if we
Right.
believe that to be true still, if we didn't continue our relationship with Jesus, and then in turn, you know, our going to church and being in community with people, it's very possible that there's still this thought that
Yeah.
church is
Yeah.
kind of boring
Yeah.
and stuffy, and you got to
Definitely.
dress up a certain way and look apart. And so that's a huge win. How many
Yeah.
surges do we do? A surge every single month? Is that what you said? Every month?
Yeah, we take a break over the summer, but
Okay.
even this summer we did one because I had this realization, like, I just got brand new fifth graders who know
Yes.
nothing about our ministry.
Yeah.
And we did a surge in, I want to say May, where we invited then fourth graders
Yeah.
to come. And we had 70 kids that night.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And so
Wait,
over the summer, I was thinking, you know, we need to do another one.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
On a Sunday, do we have 70 kids?
No.
No, I was going to
No.
say that's more than, I
Yeah.
feel like that's more than on a
Yeah.
Sunday. That is fantastic.
Yeah, it
Way
was
to
amazing.
go.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I was talking about. I just feel like this fit is just so great for you,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's just such a perfect thing to really be able to pour in our fifth and sixth graders. Okay, this is the one I've been kind of hinting to, Pit Crew,
Yes.
which is a brand new ministry
Yes.
that through prayer and really just listening to the Lord, this has come up as a ministry that you've decided to kick off this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Pit Crew.
So Pit Crew came about in just seeing that, like, our kids have been in NorthPointe Kids now for 4 years, and they have, you know, gone through a Sunday morning
Yeah.
and learned the Bible study or Bible stories and that sort of
Yes.
thing. But what's the next step?
Oh,
And
wow.
what are we going to do to help them to grow into their identity
Yeah.
in Christ?
Yeah.
And so part of our identity in Christ is serving.
Yeah.
And so I started to just think about names, and Pit Crew came up because, as you know, the Pit Crew is the team that gets the race car
Yeah.
ready for
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah.
And so basically what we say is Jesus is the driver. We're not the driver. The car is the gospel, and we are the Pit Crew. So we get it ready, you know, to go out. So
Wow.
so Pit Crew is basically our preteen leadership team. It's fifth and sixth graders that know Jesus and are becoming like Jesus and who want to learn how to serve.
Wow.
And so each month we go through a leadership quality, we go through a leadership training, and we also do just team building exercises so that we can also, like, you know, glue as
Yeah.
a team,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
know each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
So-
is it that like any fifth and sixth grader can say, I want to be a part of it? Is it you tapping on shoulders and saying, I think you would be really great for
it's
you?
a little of both.
Okay.
So really my only requirement is that you have accepted Jesus. So that is what we're looking for. And after that, like, come on, you know,
Yeah,
join
let's
us.
do this.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You've had some pretty great people already go and
Yes.
speak at Pit Crew. Am I right that
Yes.
this started in October? Is that when we kicked this off?
We started this in September.
September. Okay, so
Yeah.
the month before that. Okay.
Yeah.
And who have you had come and talk to your Pit Crew leadership team already?
So far we've had Andrew Chavez,
Yeah.
who works on our facilities team. But for those of you that don't know, like, Andrew really has a heart for spreading the gospel.
Yeah, he really does.
And so Andrew came in and shared his testimony and also just talked to our kids. We have a small team right now. It's like 7, and it's all
Yeah.
girls. So
Yeah.
boys, we need you to join.
I love it.
But Andrew talked about, like, why it's important to share the gospel. And it's more than just inviting a friend to church. It's
Yeah.
actually sharing what Jesus is doing in your heart.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Andrew, and then we had Pastor Shane last
love
month.
it.
Yeah, it
I
was
love it.
awesome.
Oh my goodness.
So he came in and did like a really interactive devotional
Wow.
and talked to the kids about, like, yeah, you're in 5th and 6th grade, but you have influence. You have
Yeah.
influence for Jesus. And so Jesus has some things that he wants you to do, and he wants you to readily say yes. And
Wow.
so that was
Wow.
awesome.
I mean, how many times do you, I feel like, my goodness, what a blessing for our 5th and 6th grade kids to be able to hear from our senior pastor.
Yes.
Again, I just love, number one, that you asked, and number two, that our senior pastor would say, absolutely, I want
Yeah.
to jump in there, and I
Yeah.
want to hear from them, and I want to meet them, and I want to talk with them, and I want to pour into them. I feel like as a kid in 5th and 6th grade, it might feel really, gosh, I was like
Yeah.
seen
Definitely.
by our senior pastor, and
Yeah, and honestly, kind of like the idea behind that is that I work with students for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I know that when students graduated out of high school ministry and were ready to go into college and adult ministry, like they didn't really know about the life of the church.
Wow. Yes.
And so I want to start with preteens in
Yeah.
just like letting them know who our staff are and what
Yeah.
our church does. And also, just like you said, like they want to be seen, they want to be
Yeah.
heard. So,
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
really good point. I feel like that probably is a lot of churches. Now, I've only experienced ours, but I feel like that could be a lot of churches of just like, really, what do we do when there's not been a relationship with people beyond the ministry that you're a part of, right?
Yeah.
So if they've only really gotten to know you, I mean, at the end of all of this, if they've really only gotten to know Donna, you, Emma, and Colin, and Ben, which is still really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they haven't gotten a chance to know Kevin or Shane
Yeah.
or, some of our other,
Ronnie.
Ronnie, Mike,
Yeah.
some of our other pastors, then they don't really feel or know that they're a part of the bigger C
Right.
church, right? Of
Yeah.
like, hey, I belong to this community, and that there's a place for them at each one of those steps. There's a place for them to serve and a place for that leadership role to come into play. Because I also love that you were talking to kids in 5th and 6th grade about leadership.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are adults that I work with to this day that are like, no, I can't do that,
Right.
or no,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
no, like, well, one, go ahead and pray about it. Now that I've asked you, let's not go with no right away.
Right. Yes.
Because I think we can always do more than we think we can. I think we really underestimate
Yeah.
how God can use us, and the things he asks us to do oftentimes do feel overwhelming and big, and that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Because he wants us to rely on him, right?
Definitely.
If we think we can do it all, we have no reason to really need to have faith in those steps. And so I
Yeah.
love that you're just having these young people, young kids already step to the challenge of hearing a word like leadership and going, yeah, you're on the leadership team. Like
Yes.
you are a leader.
Yeah.
And also,
And
yeah, go for it.
One of the things that I think is really important to know also is just that preteens and even teenagers are really eager to
Yes.
like know about the church and to
Yeah.
serve and that sort of thing. And when we don't give them opportunities, then that slowly will go away. And so that's why I think we see some adults that are hesitant and that
Yes.
are scared. And so when we can capture them at a young age
Yeah.
and say, you have a shape and this is what,
Wow.
the Lord wants you to do,
Yeah.
then we're
Yeah.
winning.
Absolutely. And, we put so much effort, kids oftentimes do go through Kids Core. Kids Core is ultimately our core classes, right,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
a kid level. But for longer, clearly it's an entire year of really pouring into it. But when they can see and identify their gifts, that they can actually see how that's used within the church and even within the community, I think that's a really powerful thing. And I also love that when you help a kid to understand that they can be a leader and not a follower, especially in these ages. We're talking about 5th and 6th, getting ready to go those big influence campuses and grades of like 7th, 8th, and high school where things just change. Whether
Yeah.
you want them to or not, they do. Your friend groups change, your influences change.
Yeah.
And to have a really good, solid foundation and know that they can stand comfortable in their nose or in their standing their
Yeah.
ground on certain things.
Yeah.
That's a leader, right? Ultimately, someone that's not just like, oh, I'm going to do what they're doing just because they're
Right.
doing it.
Right.
And so I'm loving. I cannot wait to see the fruit of this over time. But I just already love so much of the idea of really pouring in at this young age and then continuing that as they
Yeah.
go through. I think that's just. I know I'm kind of a little jealous. My kids are already older, and not that they didn't get fed well during their time. And God's timing's perfect.
Yes.
But I'm like, oh man, that would have been so great.
Yeah. I mean, I
really
miss
see
my
that.
own son. He's in 8th grade now. But,
Yeah. But again, God's timing, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we've got one more big event that I really want you to unpack a little bit more of, and it's coming up in January.
Yes.
This is something that happens every year, but has changed over time. It's
Yeah.
called Event 5-6.
Yes.
I've said 56. Is that wrong?
I say 5-6. I hear a lot of people say 56.
56.
And this weekend, one of our preteens was like, "Why is it called Event 5-6?" And so I had to explain fifth,
and
sixth grade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's like,
Yes,
now
yes.
I get it.
Yeah.
So what is it?
So Event 5-6 is basically our winter camp.
Okay.
And so we used to go to Hume, but we started to notice that numbers were going down, that cost was a factor.
Yeah.
We've got wagon train in the summer.
Yeah.
And so we looked at our staff, our abilities, our campus, and we just decided, let's bring Hume here, basically.
Yeah.
And so, it's not exactly a copycat of Hume, but there are a lot of Hume-esque elements to what we do. So we'll have messages and worship and challenges and games, and we're eating from a food truck, while they're here.
Yeah.
It's an overnight thing, so preteens get to sleep on the campus, which they're really excited about.
I was going to say, I used to love doing that when I was a kid. I used to love those rockathons or whatever we would do.
Right. And so we've also got a drama team. Shout out to Stephanie Gonzalez, who is writing original scripts. And we're also doing really fun, just, no purpose, but laughing skits and that sort of thing.
I love that.
And so, super excited about
I'm
this.
so glad you said that, because this is actually a great opportunity for me to mention you guys did some really great things during our Christmas kickoff party. And Stephanie really did help out with that too. She's a young adult, right? She's in college right now.
Yep.
But she wrote these scripts and asked some of our young adults to be these characters.
Yeah.
So we had, we had Mary and Joseph. We had the innkeeper. We had one of the magi, right?
Yeah.
And then we had the angel Gabriel.
The angel Gabriel.
For those of you that didn't know, that was our senior pastor, and he loved it.
He did.
He
loved
said
it. He's in for next year.
I love that he loved it, and just really seemed to own every bit of that night. Just so excited to do that. But I love that kind of stuff. I love the outside of the box thinking that I see coming from you and the team, and just really calling. So when you say like a Stephanie, you've called her to a higher standard, and just said, hey, I would love for you to use these giftings that you've had and use them for the Lord. And they've just been really powerful. It's amazing. Even some of the young adults that were reading those scripts were learning even more about the Christmas story. Which I just absolutely adored so much about that evening. And really, I love this Event 56 thing too. So really quick, they spend the night. Is it just the one night, Saturday night, or is it Friday night?
Friday to Saturday. So we'll have church on Sunday.
Okay. Oh yeah.
But so it'll be Friday, basically after school. They'll show up and, get ready for this event. And we go all the way on Saturday until like 9 p.m.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I love it. I love it so much. Let me see. You guys get to spend the night in the warehouse or student ministries building, or is it in the outlet?
Boys will be in the outlet and girls in cinema 34.
Oh, that's really fun. I like I said, that was one of the things I loved as a kid. Spending the night at church, I don't know why that was just extra fun, but it was absolutely extra fun. So last couple questions here. For you, you are a mom of a preteen, now a teen, yes?
Yeah.
And you have another son who's coming up. Yep. Are there podcasts, books, social media? What are some things you can equip parents for and with as they're entering? I think I said this to you. We have kids, and it's not like we get like this manual about like how to raise them and what to do. And yes, we have the Bible. I know that there's many people that are going to be like, yes, that's the Bible. I get that.
Yeah.
But I just mean like, in our day and age, with our circumstances, with social media, with all the influences, what are some of the things that you have found in this role and as a mom that has helped you to kind of learn and grow and keep them, accountable and all of that?
Yeah. So Life Church puts out an excellent podcast for parents. It's in the show notes, but it's LC Parents.
Okay.
And this podcast has been super helpful. Like the latest episode was about identity. And that's one of the things that, the kids are asking right now is, who am I? And it really, doesn't solidify until like their junior high school years.
Yeah.
But even now they're starting, to ask that question and look around and see like, well, who does so-and-so say I am? And who does,
They're looking to other people for those answers.
And so we really, in this podcast, they were just talking about like, how do we point them to Jesus continually?
Yeah. That's great.
So that's an awesome one. And then, culture is such a big thing right now. Social media, just streaming everything right now.
Yes.
And so one of the podcasts, but it's also a weekly email that I listen to is the Culture Translator.
That's great.
And so the Culture Translator is like, it's less than 10 minutes of a podcast. And weekly they go through like, what is the latest slang? What is the latest, celebrity news? How does that relate to your kid? What if your kid is listening to this song? Like, what does it actually mean? Like, it's really, really great. And they go through just like these short nuggets of explaining what it is and why it's important.
Wow, I love that. I love that it's 10 minutes. So for many people, that's like a drive to work.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And then this fall, I actually read a book called Parenting Generation Screen. And it's all about just, the things that we have in our pocket, iPads, like all of those things, like they're so readily accessible to us and have just an ocean of information that is coming at you. And this book really just talked about like, how do you parent through all of that?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that like, it wasn't, brand new information, but definitely a reminder is that we need to have connection before we correct.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So connection over correction is, one of the like main points of the book. And, it's not saying like don't correct your children, but basically it's saying like if you're not in a conversation with your children, if you're not, listening and understanding and using wisdom, then you're going to lose them.
Yeah.
Because no matter what it is, they're going to figure out a way to do it, even if you don't want them to.
Right. And if your only communication with them is correction. Then you are not actually building anything. All it ever feels like for them is that they've just got it wrong all the time.
Always getting in trouble.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is not the way to parent. I agree. I loved that connection over correction. That's really fantastic. Wow. I love that so much.
Yeah. And then just another like resource. I can't even remember the whole title because it's so long.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can actually.
But it's basically like hands-on, slightly dangerous devotionals.
Yeah.
And basically what this is a family devotional that also has like science experiments with it that you can use with your kids. And why I love this is because preteens are really curious and, they're kind of done with like the normal, just regular things that they're hearing. I'm not saying like Bible stories or, they're done with those, but more of just like they need an innovative way to capture their attention. Yeah. And so this devotional is so much fun. And this is one of the things that I wanted to mention is like over Christmas break when you're with your kids, like lean into that discovering what like motivates them, what brings out their creativity.
I love
and that's one of the things that like, instead of like really enforcing boundaries or something like that, I think like leaning into discovering who they are and helping them to discover that is really great.
Yeah. I love that the thing you're saying is instead of focusing on the negative things, all the corrective things, it's like, really, let's focus in on seeing if we can pull out the gifts and help them to identify their personalities and really focusing in on some of the positive parts of like what they bring to the table. And I absolutely love that so much. That's so cool. I actually had somebody ask in the comment section, when is Event 56, which I don't think we actually gave a date on that.
No, we didn't. It is January 28th and 29th.
Okay. And registration for it, I'm guessing, is still open for a little bit longer.
And it's only $40 for the 2 days.
That's great. Yeah. That's great.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any last minute encouragements for parents out there who are just feeling, they're just, honestly, I'm going to speak from a place that I know that I felt, just trying to get to the break. Like I just need to make it to the winter break and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And we all get to just take a moment. What would you say to parents kind of in that place right now?
Well, there's something that I read yesterday that like really resonated with me. Being a ministry mom, working full time. I've got a teenager and a young one.
Yeah.
Like this article just basically said like, do what's best for your family and let go of the expectations. I have like friends on Facebook that are doing all the things. And it makes me feel like, oh man, I'm kind of failing at this mother thing,
lagging.
During Christmas. But for me, it's like quality time is a big thing with my family.
Yeah.
And so even if we're just on the couch watching Home Alone, like that is good for us. And it doesn't mean that we need to go the extra mile, to do all the things.
Yes.
And so, so really I feel like focus on what's important for your family. Focus on Jesus and let go of the expectations.
I think that's great. I think those are like great words for us at any age, with or without kids.
Yeah,
that's a good word right there, Ange. It's a good word. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for pouring out. Thanks for just the way that you lead our 5th and 6th graders. And I know that you're intentional about loving them and praying for them diligently. And if people have questions, they can email you, Angela Yracheta at northpointe.org. I'm sure that's just a really easy last name to figure out.
Go to the team page.
Yeah, exactly. Go to our team
there.
page. You can find it there. Or just email us hello@northpointe.org. We get you hooked up with it if you have questions.
And there's another thing I wanted to mention. We have a parent Facebook page.
Oh, yes.
And I would love for parents to join there because I post articles, I do polls, I do recaps of the weekend, and I really feel like that is becoming like a little community for our parents.
Yes,
so,
I'm gonna I'll put the link in the comments to that page so that parents can join that. I love it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for all you do.
Yeah,
excited
thank
about
you.
this weekend and all the Christmas festivities.
Yep.
Go guys, make it a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Bye everybody.
Bye guys.